Google Earth Engine. And yesterday we did this introduction to Earth Engine Python API. We saw until folium. And today we will see an example which is detecting changes in Sentinel-1 imagery. So for those of you who don't know, I will let us first maybe go through what is Sentinel-1. So Sentinel-1 is a space mission funded by the European Union and carried out by the European Space Agency within the Copernicus program, and it collects C-band synthetic aperture radar imagery at a variety of polarizations and resolutions. Since radar data requires several specialized algorithms to obtain calibrated orthorectified imagery, so this document describes the pre-processing of Sentinel-1 in Earth Engine. So Sentinel-1 data is collected with several different instrument configurations, resolutions, band combinations during both ascending and descending orbits. Because of this heterogeneity, it is usually necessary to filter the data down to a homogeneous subset before starting and processing. And this process is outlined here. Okay, so there is some pre-processing that is going into the Sentinel dataset before it is archived in Earth Engine. So how many of you have applied for an Earth Engine account? None. Please do that if you have not done it. It will be useful for your research in future, because this kind of pre-processed data is very useful when you are stuck or when you are conducting a research problem. So this is all about Sentinel-1 mission, and there are different products that are available for the Sentinel-1 mission. So there is this Sentinel-1 SAR C-band synthetic aperture radar. So it has got, you can see the description. So this is the same thing that we saw, and we have the code here. So this, if you just paste it in the code editor. So here we saw this was the code editor. If you run this inside the code editor, so it is plotting ascending change, descending change. Okay, let's see just descending change. So descending change is descent dot filter spring. So okay, so this is the spring. We have filtered this according to, so just we are extracting the spring which starts from 1st of March. So this is for 2015 and goes on until 20th of April. Take the mean, and then you have late spring and you have summer. So take the average of all these three, and with this descent change we use we'll see what e.image.cat means. So this is how your Sentinel-1 C-band synthetic aperture radar data looks like. Okay, so this consists of 4 variables: HH, HV, VV, and VH. So HH is single copolarization, horizontal transmit or horizontal receive. So these are the different band data sets, data from the radar on board the Sentinel satellite mission. Okay, so we were on this detecting changes in Sentinel-1 imagery. Okay, have we started the? Let's run this in Google Colab. Okay. So this is authored by Mott Canty. And in this tutorial, we will analyze the synthetic aperture radar imagery in order to detect statistically significant changes on the Earth's surface. As the adverb statistically hints, we will need a basic understanding of the statistical properties of SAR imagery in order to proceed. And the adjective significant implies that we learn the fundamentals of hypothesis testing. So in particular, we will be concerned with the time series of dual polarimetric intensity Sentinel-1 SAR images in the Google Earth Engine archive. So this tutorial has 4 parts. So the first one, we look at the single and multi-look image statistics. Then we do hypothesis testing, multi-temporal change detection, and application. And you can see this book. So there is this. Let us see if we can get the access. Oh, it's behind a firewall. Okay. Paywall. So, anyways, like if you can get access to this book, this is a very nice book for if you want to work on remote sensing. And these are the most recent publications which would help you do the analysis. So the Sentinel-1 missions of European Space Agency, it provides a fantastic source of weather-independent day or night Earth observation data with repeat times of the order of 6 days. So the Google Earth Engine team monitor and ingest the imagery data almost as fast as they are produced, thus removing the burden from the user of searching, downloading, pre-processing, and georeferencing. So there are 2 APIs, JavaScript and Python APIs to Google Earth Engine, which can then be easily programmed to analyze time series of Sentinel-1 acquisitions virtually anywhere on the globe. And detected changes, both short and long term, can be related to landscape dynamics and human activity. So there are some prerequisites. So a basic knowledge of Sentinel-1 SAR platform is assumed on the part of the reader at the level of ESA user guides. So let us just see that. So this is the European Space Agency synthetic aperture radar user guide. Just go through this later on, and particularly for people who are going to work on the radar datasets. But I think satellite datasets, most of you would be using for some or the other part of your analysis. So it's useful in general. And the reader should also be familiar with ordinary Python syntax and also with the Google Earth Engine API. We'll prefer Python. We will take a relaxed view of the statistical formalism without clearly distinguishing random variables from their realizations. We assume that the reader has at least an intuitive understanding of the mean and variance of the independent measurements. So you should know what is mean because these functions are directly used in the Google Earth Engine terminology. So mean is basically you have a set of numbers, you just sum them and divide it by the total uh, total count n. Then we know what is, I think from your statistics class and from previous background, you must be knowing what is variance. And then in terms of for the continuous functions, so if you have to find out mean, what we do is we do x, px, dx. So px is the probability density function, and you multiply dx with it and x, and then you integrate or you what we call it as sum over it. So most statistics will be introduced as needed. Highly recommended references, Freund's mathematical statistics. So single and multi-look image statistics. So we will authenticate Google Earth Engine and initialize it first. Yeah. So let us generate the token. When did I deny access to the application?
Sir, I think you have to allow that access.
Yeah. I think those tick marks. I think that, yeah. Okay. So this has successfully saved the authorization token. And so we have, so two data sets will be used in this tutorial. So the first one is Copernicus S1 GRD float, which is Sentinel-1 ground range detected images. And the second, so this is the second one is Sentinel-1 ground range detected images converted to decibels. So you can see their Google Earth Engine page on Earth Engine data catalog. So yeah, this we have already seen. Yes. Yeah. So this is synthetic aperture radar ground range detected log scaling. Now the following cells import some Python modules which we will be using as we go along and also enable inline graphics. So in order to make interactive maps, we import the Folium package. So you can see what Folium can do for you. I've already seen that yesterday. And Sentinel-1 image, let's start work by grabbing a spatial subset of Sentinel-1 image from the archive. We will define an area of interest as the longitude, latitude corners of a rectangle over the Frankfurt airport. Convenient way to do this is with the geojson.io website. So there is this geojson.io website in which what you can do is, so this is your starting point. Let's say this is 76 point. So this is basically a dictionary. Okay. And in geojson.io, you can define your dictionary here. So you have to say type, then features. Then in features, again, then you have type as a feature, then properties, geometry, type, polygon, and then you have to give the coordinates. So this is the first coordinate, 76.83 and 11.43. So then you have, I think this one, 81.23 and 11.43. So you can see the first number is longitude, second is a latitude. So we move along the longitudes and don't go change the latitudes. So then you have this one. Your longitude remains the same, 81.23. Your latitude, so this one is 14.54. And then your longitude changes. This is 76 point. So this is 76.83 and 14.54. And then again, you have to close the polygon. So you have this number. So you can basically have a polygon, a closed polygon with, so this is actually a rectangle, but you can have it uh, as whatever you want. Like there is uh, no such rule to make rectangles or squares. And so from here, so similar to this, so we can just copy this and you can paste in this GeoJSON. So now you know, so this is for, okay, so if we do this, okay, so you can see we have changed the box and this is the Frankfurt airport. Okay, so we have taken a box over the Frankfurt airport. You change these numbers, this box will change. Okay. So we are using that in this GeoJSON. Note that the last and the first corners are identical, indicating the closure of the polygon. We have to go down into the GeoJSON structure to get the geometry coordinates, then create an EE.geometry object. So we get the coordinates from GeoJSON features 0 geometry coordinates. So if you see what is your GeoJSON is a dictionary, right? So in this dictionary, we access the key features. So feature is a key. Inside features, you have, okay, so they are saying that the first, so this looks like a list, right? So then if we see the length of this list, okay, so this is 1. So just to access the first element or to remove the list type data structure, so you just say 0, then this again becomes a dictionary. And then you say geometry. So you can see we have another dictionary. In this dictionary, the key is coordinates and the values are this list. So again, if you take coordinates, so we get this latitude and longitudes. So then you can just say area of interest is equal to ee.geometry.polygon, and you give these coordinates. Okay. So then you can create an area of interest in the form of ee.geometry data structure. Next, we filter the S1 archive to get an image over the area of interest, acquired sometime in August 2020. Any old image will do fine, so we won't bother to specify the orbit number or whether we want ascending or descending node. So if we don't specify the instrument mode or resolution, we get IW, which is interferometric white swath mode, and 10 by 10 meter square pixels by default. So for convenience, we grab both decibel and the float version. So this is the decibel version and this is the float version. So you can see this is FFA, this is dB, decibel, this is float. So from the Copernicus Sentinel One decibel or float, we do a dot filter bounds AOI, which is area of interest. Filter bounds will filter over the spatial domain. Filter date will filter over the along the dates or time, right? So you have to give ee.date, the start date and the end date. So this will give you an image collection. If you will do dot first will from that image collection will just give you the first image. And then if you say dot clip AOI, so this will just clip over that area of interest. So similarly for the float as well. And notice that we have clipped the images to our AOI so as not to work with the entire swath. To confirm that we have an image, we list its band names, fetching the result from GE servers with the getinfo class method. So you can just say ffadb.band names and getinfo will get the values. Okay. So these are the band names, VV, VH, and angle. And display the VV band of the decibel version using get thumb URL method and IPython's display module. So the float intensities I are generally between 0 and 1. So we stretch the decimal image 10 log 10 I from -2 to 0. So let us see this. This will just plot the FFA DB, the first image. So this is how the Frankfurt airport looks like. Okay. So this is fine, but little boring. So you can use Folium to project onto a map for geographical context. The Folium map constructor wants its location keyword in long lat rather than the lat long. So we do a list reverse in the first line. Okay. So we first find out the location. Okay. So let us run this in a separate to make it more clear. Okay, so this location, it is AOI.centroid. AOI is the area of interest. Area of interest is the EE.geometry.polygons, and it is corresponding to these this polygon with these latitude, longitude as the corners. So we just say dot centroid dot coordinates dot get info and colon colon -1. So what this will give us? So you can see that this has given us the centroid values, right? So then make an RGB color composite image VVVH and VV by VH. So this is how we make the RGB, and for that we use the e.image.rgb. So this is the red, blue, and this is the green component. So we just say ffadb.select VV dot divide. So now if we have to divide in Earth Engine, so this is dot divide is the operator we use. So x dot divide by something like that, and then you say ffadb dot select vh. So this will create an RGB color composite image and create the map object. So you have to create that map object. You have to say folium dot map. So folium we have already imported. Yeah. So we have imported folium here. So we'll say folium.map location equal to location. What is the location? This one. And zoom start equal to 12. So how much you want to zoom over that location? Add the S1 Sentinel One RGB composite to the map object. So m dot e add EE layer. So we have already defined this add EE layer function before. So this function add EE layer, this takes in self, comma image object, comma visualization parameters, comma name. So in this function, so you have to first define an object and add all these things to that object. So you can see here. So our object is m, right? So we just say m dot add EE layer. So you can define any function like which is not even a part of a class. But if you just say dot, if you just put the first argument as self, then it will operate on the object. So if you just say that object dot add EE layer, so you don't have to pass like it's not traditional the syntax that you use for functions. So this add EE layer will be applied on M, and it will be applied on RGB. So here we are giving the visualization parameters, which is basically a dictionary, and in that dictionary we give min and then that key value pairs min, comma max, and then we give the name FFA. So add a layer control panel to the map. So we will add a control panel layer, and then we say display M. So this will display the map. So you can see that this is the map, okay, and this zoom start is equal to 12. So that's why this kind of zooming you can see, and says that they have volume control. So, okay, I think this one. Okay, so you can see this in the RGB form. In RGB, you can see from the satellite data, the Frankfurt airport. Visually, this looks much better than our black and white visualization. Now the pixel distribution. So in order to examine the statistics of the pixels in the image empirically, we need samples from a featureless spatial subset. So here is a polygon covering triangular wooded area just east of the north-south runway. So let us see where this is. Okay. So this is okay. So this was the Frankfurt airport, and this is just this runway is there. So just east. So this runway is there. So just east of this, we have selected this polygon. So this is represented by this, and we. So this dictionary, we just pass it to GeoJSON, and we get the coordinates and area of interest. So using standard reducers from the Google Earth Engine library, we can easily calculate a histogram and estimate the first two moments. So what are the first two moments? Mean and the variance. Mean and the variance of the pixels in the polygon AOI underscore sub. Again, retrieving the results from the servers with getinfo. So you just say hist equal to FFA underscore FL. What is FFA underscore FL? FFA underscore FL is the float part of this, right? So we just say FFA underscore FL dot select. We select the VV band and dot reduce region, EE dot reducer fixed histogram. So you reduce it over this region 0, 0.5, 500, and so this is the area of interest dot get PV dot get info. So this gives you the histogram. So this function fixed histogram, and then if you want to find a mean, so you just say dot reduce region, and you give this E dot reducer dot mean. So this will give you the mean. And then if you want the variance, so you just say dot reduce region, E dot reducer dot variance. So you can see that this bracket ends here, and then dot get VV dot get info. Okay. So then, so what is our hist? Let us just see that. Okay. So you can see this is our program. Okay. The on the x-axis will be the value, and on the y-axis we will have the counts. Then we have mean. So this is the mean value, and we have the variance. Okay. So this is the variance, and if you just convert this to a numpy array and just say a dot shape, so this will give you a shape of 500 cross 2. Okay. So then we will have a array of bucket edge positions. So just like you make any histogram, you have the bins, and then you count the number of values in the bins, right? The frequency. And then you have y, which is a colon comma 1 divided by np dot sum a colon comma 1, which is normalized array of bucket contents. Plot dot grid plot dot plt dot plot x comma y plt dot show. So you can see this is our so on the x-axis, and we have x, and on the y-axis we have this y. Okay, so this it has been returned by this function e dot reducer dot fixed histogram. So we start from 0, have a bin size of 0.5, and go up to 500. So from 0 to 500, or from from 0 to 0.5, we have basically 500 numbers. Yeah. So you can just check that by printing. You can just print x and check that. So you can see it is starting from 0, going up to 0.499, and you can just check its shape. It is 500. So the above histogram is in fact a gamma probability density function, density distribution. So what is a gamma probability density distribution? So it is P of gamma alpha comma beta x equal to 1 by beta raised to power alpha tau alpha x raised to power a minus alpha e to the power minus x by beta. So the mean here is equal to alpha beta, and the variance is alpha beta square. And tau here is tau of alpha here is integral 0 to infinity z alpha minus 1 p z raised to alpha minus 1 e to the power minus z dz. The parameters are in this case alpha equal to 5 and beta equal to mu by alpha, where mu is the estimated mean value we just determined by E dot reducer dot mean. This can be easily verified by plotting the gamma distribution uh, gamma dot PDF and overlaying it onto the histogram. Since the bucket weights are 0.001, 0.01, we have to divide the plot by 1000. So we have this alpha is equal to 5, and we have already found out the mean. We have seen that. So what is our mean? 0.110. Beta is equal to mean by alpha, and we say plot dot grid plt dot plot x comma y label equal to data, and plt dot plot x comma gamma pdf x comma alpha comma 0 comma beta divided by 1000. So we have let us see where this gamma has been imported. Yeah, so gamma is coming from scipy.stats. Okay, so norm gamma f chi-square, all these are coming from scipy library. Okay, so now we will plot both these distributions from the satellite dataset as well as the gamma distribution. So you can see how nicely it is fitting over to the satellite dataset, distribution of satellite dataset. And in order to understand why this is the case, let's take a step back and consider how the pixels were generated. So single loop complex SAR measurements. Will not go into this much of detail. We'll just see this central limit theorem of statistics. It says that x and y will have normal distribution with 0 mean and variance sigma square equal to n by 2 in the limit of large number n of scatterers. Okay, so yeah, then we will see the part 2 of this detecting changes in Sentinel-1 imagery. We'll run this on Colab. Okay. So we will import these basic libraries and also for Folium. We continue from part 1 of the tutorial with the area of interest AOI covering the Frankfurt International Airport and a subset AOI underscore sub consisting of uniform pixels within a forested region. So this is now a forested region. Let us see on geojson.io. Okay. So this is the, I think, the forested region that they are talking about. Yeah, so we extract the coordinates. This is the area of interest. We create the e.geometry data structure, and then we have another box which is okay. So which was this one, the polygon on the east of the runway. Okay, so this is an AOI underscore sub. So e.geometry.polygon chords. So this time we filter the Sentinel-1 archive to get an image collection consisting of 2 images acquired in the month of August 2020. Because we are interested in change detection, it is essential that the local incidence angles be the same in both images. So now we specify both the orbit pass ascending as well as the relative orbit number. So you see that we will take this image collection Copernicus Sentinel-1 GRD float, and then you do dot filter bounds, which is filtering, selecting the spatial area, and dot filter date, and you can say dot filter e dot filter equal. So what is it that you want to filter over? You want to filter over orbit properties underscore pass. It should be equal to ascending, and relative orbit number. So start, this should be equal to 15, and dot sort system as so time start. So sort it with time. So this is the image collection. Here are the acquisition times in the collection formatted with Python's time module. So the acquisition times equal to image collection dot aggregate array system colon time start dot get info, and here we will see the times. Okay, so these are the times of acquisition of these images. So this is in month, day, year. So this is 5th of August 2020, 11th August 2020, 17th August 2020, and going up to 29th August 2020. Then let us select the first images and extract the VV bands, flipping them to AOI underscore sub. So here you can see this AOI is the bigger region and AOI underscore sub is the smaller region, which is this small region. So we just say IM list equal to image collection dot to list image collection dot size, and e dot image IM list dot get 0. So this will get the first image dot select VV dot clip AOI underscore sub. So similarly, you take this second image. So this is the first image will correspond to this date, and the second image will be 11th August. Okay, so we are seeing the change. We are detecting the change between 5th August and 11th August. Now we'll build the ratio of VV bands and display it. So these are Earth Engine data structures. So you say ratio equal to IM1 dot divide, and here you give IM2. So this is ratio is equal to IM1 by IM2, and URL equal to ratio dot get thumb URL, and then you give the visualization parameters, and you say this dot image URL equal to URL, which is equal to 800. So here it gives you something like this. As in the first part of the tutorial, standard G reducers can be used to calculate a histogram, mean and variance of the ratio image. So from the ratio, we first compute the histogram. So from 0 to 5, we have 500 bins, and over this region AY underscore sub, we say dot get VV. Why we are saying this dot get VV? Because this will return us a histogram, but that is also an that's also a data structure of the type of like earth in them. So right, so either an image or an image collection. So we have to say dot get VV to extract that variable out of it. And then if we say dot get info, it will give us the value of that number. So then we get the mean and the variance. So this is of the ratio of the VV band for image 1. So image 1 divided by image 2, and image 1 was taken on 5th of August, image 2 was taken on by Sentinel One on 11th of August. So the plot of the normalized histogram using NumPy and Matplotlib. So this is the plot. This looks a bit like the gamma distribution we met in part 1, but is in fact an F probability distribution. The F distribution is defined as the ratio of two chi-square distributions with M1 and M2 degrees of freedom. The above histogram is an F distribution with M1 equal to 2M and M2 equal to 2M degrees of freedom, and is given by this relationship where mean is equal to M by M minus 1, and variance is M into M minus 2M minus 1 divided by M minus 1 squared into M minus 2. So with parameter M equal to 5, we can see this empirically by overlaying the distribution onto the histogram with the help of scipy.stats.f. So we have already seen that we have imported scipy.stats.f. The histogram bucket bits are 0.01, so we have to divide by 100. So you can see that we are plotting the histogram of our ratio of the band VV from image 1 by image 2, and also we are plotting the for the corresponding X, we are plotting the F distribution. So it is fitting nicely over this region. Checking the mean and variance, we get an approximate agreement. So you can see that mean is 1.24 something, and if you compute M into M minus 1, you get 1.25. So how to compute M? You just have to replace. Now you know that this is an F distribution. So to basically try to fit an F distribution, you just take mean equal to M by M minus 1 and then compute M. And then from that M, you can actually get the F distribution. So in an F distribution, you can see you just need X and M. So what is special about this distribution? So when looking for changes between two co-registered Sentinel-1 images acquired at different times, it might seem natural to subtract one from the other and then examine the difference, much as we would do, for instance, with visual or infrared ground reflectance images. In the case of synthetic aperture radar intensity images, this is not a good idea. In the difference of two uncorrelated multi-look images, S1 and S2. So if you have two images, S1 and S2, and you take the difference of these two uncorrelated multi-look images, the variances add together. And from equation 1.21 in the first part of the tutorial, so your variance will amplify. If you do a subtraction, this will be your variance, where A1 and A2 are the mean intensities. So difference pixels in bright areas will have higher variance than difference pixels in darker areas. It is not possible to set a reliable threshold to determine with a given confidence where the change has occurred. It turns out that F distributed ratio of the two images which we looked at above, is much more informative. And for each pixel position in the two images, the quotient S1 by S2 is a likelihood ratio test statistic for deciding whether or not a change has occurred between the two acquisition dates at that position. We will explain what this means below. Here for now is the ratio of two Frankfurt airport images, this time within the complete AY. So for the complete AY, we take IM1, IM2, ratio equal to IM1 by IM2. And then we take this location, we plot over the folium map, the ratios. So this is the ratio of IM1 and IM2 plotted over the Frankfurt airport for the entire area of interest. And we might guess that the bright pixels here are significant changes. For instance, due to aircraft movements on the tarmac or vehicles moved on the highway. Of course, significant doesn't necessarily imply interesting. We already know Frankfurt has a busy airport and that a German autobahn is always crowded. The question is, how significant are changes in the statistical sense? Let's now try to understand that question. So statistical testing. Statistical hypothesis is a conjecture about the distributions of one or more measured variables. It might, for instance, be an assertion about the mean of the distribution or about the equivalence of the variances of two distributions. We distinguish between simple hypotheses for which distributions are completely specified. For example, the mean of a normal distribution with variance sigma square is mu equal to 0, and composite hypothesis for which this is not the case. Example, the mean is mu is greater than 0. So in order to test such assertions on the basis of measured values, it is also necessary to formulate alternate hypotheses. To distinguish these from the original assertions, the latter are traditionally called null hypotheses. Thus, we might be interested in testing the simple null hypothesis mu equal to 0 against the composite alternate hypothesis mu not equal to 0. An appropriate combination of measurements for deciding whether or not to reject the null hypothesis in favor of its alternate is referred to as test statistic, often denoted by the symbol Q. An appropriate test procedure will partition the possible test statistics into two subsets, an acceptance region for the null hypothesis and a rejection region. The latter is customarily referred to as the critical region. Now, referring to the null hypothesis as H naught, there are two kinds of errors which can arise from any test procedure. H naught may be rejected when in fact it is true. This is called an error of the first kind, and the probability that it will occur is denoted by alpha. H naught may be accepted when in fact it is false. Okay, so like when it is true, it might be rejected. When it is false, it might be accepted. So this is the error of the second kind. And this is the probability of occurrence we say is beta. The probability of obtaining a value of the test statistic within a critical region when H naught is true is thus alpha. The probability alpha is also referred to as the level of significance or the probability of false positive. So alpha is the false positive. So you are rejecting when in fact it is true. It is generally the case that the lower value of alpha, the higher is the probability beta of making second kind error. So there is always a trade-off. At any rate, traditionally significance levels of 0.01 or 0.05 are often used. So which is the p-value. And suppose we determine this test statistic to have a value q. The p-value is defined as the probability of getting a test statistic q that is at least as extreme as the one observed given the null hypothesis. What is meant by extreme depends on how we choose the test statistic. If this probability is small, then the null hypothesis is unlikely. If it is smaller than the prescribed significance level alpha, then the null hypothesis is rejected. So here they are describing the various likelihood functions, the likelihood ratio test. Okay. And then we have the bivariate change detection. So rather than analyzing the VV and VH bands individually, it would make more sense to treat them together. And that is what we will do now. It is convenient to work with a covariance matrix for measured intensities that were introduced in part 1. Again, with the aim of keeping notation simple, you define this. Okay. And okay, so we will have, okay, so this is the function det. It takes in an image, an argument im. So return im dot expression v0 into v1. So your image one is, so you select vv and vh. So you say select vv vh, get 0. So is the first image, get 1. So this is on the 5th of August or 8th of August, and this is on the 11th August. Dot clip AY. So this is for the entire area of interest. And M2 log Q is equal to DETIM1 dot log dot add. So you compute some, yeah. So you just have to compute this equation for two images C1 and C2. So that is what M2 log Q is. Okay. And then plot its histogram, comparing it with the chi-square distribution. So we plot the histogram. So we can see that this is dotted is the histogram plotted from the two images C1 and C2. Here we have IM1 and IM2, and we also plot the chi-square chi-square distribution, which just takes the x, your x, and you say comma 2 divide by 10, and it looks pretty good. Now note that now that the small value of the LRTQ in equation 2.15 corresponds to a, so we have where, so this is, I think, the equation 2.15 corresponds to a large value of minus 2 log q. So let us try out our bivariate change detection procedure, this time on agricultural scene, where we expect to see larger regions of change. So this is our region. Okay. They say that it is an agricultural region, so somewhere in Canada. Okay, and we take this area of interest. So we say AOI 1. This is a mixed agriculture or forest area in southern Manitoba, Canada. We'll gather two images, one from the beginning of August and another from beginning of September 2018. A lot of harvesting takes place in this interval, so we expect some extensive changes. Okay, so IM1 is from, you see here, 1st of August 2018 to 31st of August 2018, and this is from 1st of September 2018 to 30th of September 2018, and then you just select the first ones, the first images. So the first image basically corresponds to the first, like if it is not collected every day, then whatever is the first image you get in that month. And we can see the acquisition times. So in August, you get the first image on 1st August. In September, you get on the 6th of September. Fortunately, it is possible to map the chi-square distribution function over an EE.image so that a p-value image can be calculated directly. This wasn't possible in the single band case, as the F cumulative distribution is not available on the Google Earth Engine. So here are the p-values. So you will compute the observed test statistic image minus, so minus 2 log q. You will compute this minus 2 log q, and then you will compute the p-value. So the p-value, in the p-value you will compute using this minus 2 log q, and you will say e dot image dot constant 1. So 1 minus chi-square distribution. So this minus 2 log q, and project it on a map. So let us see. So then we project it on this folium map, and map dot add e layer p value. So this is the p value, and the minimum is 0, max is 1. Palette is so black comma white. So if it is more black, it is near to 0. If it is white, it is near to 1. So you can see the change here. Where did it go? Yeah, you can see the change here. Wherever it is black, it is it corresponds to a large change, statistically significant change. So this is with the distributions and with the p values. The uniformly dark areas correspond to small or vanishing p values and signify change. The bright areas correspond to no change. Why they are not uniformly bright will be explained below. Now we set a significance threshold of alpha equal to 0.1 and display the significant changes, whereby 1% of them will be false positive. So for reference, we show the Canada AFC annual crop inventory map, which is available as a Google Earth Engine collection. So you can see we load this this crop data, Canada annual crop inventory map, and so we say the p value you multiply with 0 where p value is less than 0.01. So you make it 0 wherever it is less than 0.01, and comma 1. So let us plot this. So then, yeah, so this is plotted over the we have this folium map, and then map dot add e layer crop 2018. This is min and this is max, and map dot add e layer. So cmap dot update mask. So cmap dot get 0. So you basically so we plot this like this, and I think we will have option to select the layers. Okay. So you can see that this is the change, right? So you just these are just the p values. This is just the C map, and we also have our so this is the Canada. This is the crop inventory plot. So where the major crops in the scenes are soybean in dark brown. So these are soybeans. Oats are light brown. So what is dark brown? I think yeah, this is dark brown. Now these are oats. These are light brown. Canola is light green. Corn is light yellow. Wood areas it will change progressively. Harvest. Over this, if you just plot this change map, it corresponds to values are. It's tempting to say that the larger the p-value, the higher the probability of no change, or more explicitly, the p-value itself is the no change probability. Let's see why this is false. So below we choose a wooded area of agricultural scene where few significant changes are expected, and use it to subset the p-value image. So let us do that. So the p-values of no change measurements are uniformly distributed over 0, 1. These are the p-values of no change. A large p-value is no more indicative of no change than a small one. Of course, it has to be this way when, for example, we set a significance of 5%, the fraction of false positive, that is the fraction of p-value smaller than 0.05 given h naught, must also be 5%. This accounts for the noisy appearance of p-value image in the no change regions. So then we have the change direction, the low inner order. So what about the direction of change in the bivariate case? So this is less clear, as we can have the situation where VV intensity gets larger and the VH smaller from time T1 to T2 or vice versa. When we are dealing with the C2 covariance matrix representation of SAR imagery, the characterization change can be made as following this paper. Okay, I think we are already we have already crossed the time for today. So I will try to I will end the today's class here, and